Yo, what's up? And am I doubling up on my audio? Yes. Stop it. There we go. What's up? Oh, camera's over there now. We are testing a new setup, which hopefully everything is working well in. Let me just check by doubling up the audio for 1 second. Yes. Stop it. Yes. Stop it. No, that was me the second time anyway. What's up? I'm streaming. It's Saturday. I'm bored. I'm also back up in a new-ish kind of setup. For those of you who have potentially been around for a little while, you may know that I've had a setup that's looked something like this before. How do we shortcut that so we can monitor the stream and we can get the chat so I can still see it. Hey Ring, what's going on? Leroy Jenkins. Fuck man, I need to play some MMOs. It's been a while. I spent the day moving things around. I used to be sitting over there. And before I was sitting over there, I was sitting here, but now I'm here with a new desk with different lights and is it bisexual lighting, they call it? Maybe not quite that, but we do have some extra lighting going on in the back, which is I'm pretty happy with. We still need to get lighting on that. That's a display cabinet we got recently. Hopefully getting a little bit more able to show off some of my cool merch bling stuff, but not quite all the way there yet. I was hoping I could put the light strips, which are there, into that cabinet over there, but I haven't figured out a good way to do it, so we haven't been able to do it. We have not been able to do it. We'll figure something out. I might end up having to go with the generic, like the IKEA ones that actually fit in there, because I can't be bothered using a drill. I shared an article on Twitter and someone asked me if it's real, so we might do a bit of a quick fact check. Basically, the stream tonight is just hanging out, and I might try and do some content here and there. It sort of depends on where we get in terms of just my general mood, I guess. Blizzard. All right, no. You know what? I should do this on stream, shouldn't I? Instead of just doing this off stream, so to speak. So I posted this uncritically because it doesn't really matter. It's not a huge deal. But allegedly, Blizzard will actually encrypt its characters in Overwatch 2 to make it harder to rip the characters out for all that tasty Rule 34 that we got out of Overwatch number 1. Funny for 2 reasons. Funny for the reason that Overwatch is kind of irrelevant these days. And funny because like the way Overwatch 2's development has gone in terms of monetization, it's kind of like who cares about Overwatch? Like the one thing people might care about is the porn, and you're going to take that from us too? Overwatch 2 will encrypt. Player toxicity. Don't tell me it's not true. Let's add to prevent porn. Definitely doing that search off stream. That's iFunny. That's not a good one. Is it? Did we get caught? There's a Reddit thing for shit posting. Here we go. There's 1.1k comments. We'll find it. We'll find the truth. Oh, give me the link. Give me. I don't want to play the video there in case the video's got some pornographic sounds. Why is the top comment not clarifying whether or not this is accurate? I feel like the first link being not a news article, it's probably fake. Damn it. Damn it. I'm okay with sharing fake news when it's got to do with Overwatch porn though. I'm going to be perfectly honest. This is everyone taking it earnestly. Funny. Alan Smithy. Nah, okay, no, it's fake. It's fake. I just actually read the the opening part is like a clue. Lol. Let's play Genshin Impact. God damn it. That's Ganyu talking in the background. Man. Fake news. I should clarify that tweet, I guess. Or maybe I'll just play it off as if I knew all along. Where are we? iFunny is a source. It came from iFunny, I think. There we go. We pretend we're just gonna play it cool. Fantastic. Amazing. Alright, let's do what are we meant to do in this game? Spend money. That's right. Toxic gamer playing a game with loot boxes. Gacha mechanics, I should say. Right. I'm curious as to like what other YouTube streamers and Twitch streamers do. Like, do they leave up something monitoring the stream? Because it feels really difficult to monitor the stream and monitor OBS and have chat up and have a screen for like my game and have like a window where I might be doing something else. Crazy. All right, what are we doing? We're killing a big thing to make this character better. No, we're not, because we've already done everything we need to do for her. So we needed to do her. We need to do her. No, we've got everything we need for her in terms of boss materials. Clear, I don't really care about. Kerching. I would like to raise up Kerching because Kerching is Kerching. Ito I don't care about. Jun is 80, that's good enough. Shenhe. Actually, what about the talents? Raiden Shogun. What are we missing here? Oh, these materials. And we should be able to do them now. Excellent. All right, let's do this. Because we need a shit ton of them. And every other day this week when I've played, this hasn't been available. We're out of recording space, so I can't record. Yeah. Hey Rex, what is going on? What are these guys? I'm sure they're weak to whatever's happening here. Man, I need to buy a new hard drive so I can actually record video. Or more accurately, I need to actually go and delete recorded video that I'm clearly not going to use. All right, what was happening here? Which one is this? Ah, this one. Oh wait, we've got Eula instead of Raiden. That is okay. Oof.
Right now, right here.
Actually, Raiden would have been better for this one. Damn it.
Born of ice and frost. Blaze over. What a
Damn it.
sight.
It still gets the job done.
Right here. Access denied.
But
This is long overdue.
just takes longer.
Emerge. Crush.
And where is your ult? Whoop, 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 whoop.
One strike will suffice.
Bam. That took longer than I thought. I'm not bad at iframing, I think. How do they make Kokomi and Zhongli unusable though? Like, surely you'd... interesting. Because I've always considered that, like, healing and shields are like opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of, you know, being able to trivialize something. Like, the Primo Vishap is weak against shields, but then the there's other bosses that are weak against healing, right? Not weak, but you know what I mean. Hey, Spooky, how's it going? Yes, it is the first. That is the spooky season. That is why there's a ghost. It is the first, right? Yeah, it's Saturday. It's the first. I should have changed teams. That's alright. That's alright. I'm hoping that the music I've chosen for today's stream, because it is technically infringing a copyright, that I can use it without technically infringing a copyright.
Born of ice and frost.
As in, they're relying on fair use, so they'll be
Rack and ruin.
open to my fair use. Alright, Eula, you're next.
Right here.
Give me Yuri. Thank you.
Freeze to the core. Eye for an eye.
Iframe. Okay, I didn't get the iframe, but I did get the big hit. What? Alright, come on, mermaid. Alright, that was a lot better. That was a better burst against those guys.
Access denied.
This year is definitely the year that I forced my partner to watch The Nightmare Before Christmas, because she has not seen it, and I wasn't fully aware of that until Christmas just passed. And what did I make her watch? I made her watch National Lampoon's Christmas, that's right. So I feel like I had used my quota of you must watch this for my satisfaction for this particular season, so I figured I'd save Nightmare Before Christmas for Halloween. Well, it's alright. I don't have any copyright infringement on this channel. I've only got it on Twitch, so I'm sure I've got a couple of spare strikes. Let's leave here. I'm not even sure what game this music's from. Wait, it's Zelda. Is it? It sounds like a really loose version of the Hyrule theme, the Overworld theme. Alright, Eula, I love you, but... Shogun.
What is the situation?
Man, I need to finish Breath of the Wild. Like... It came out really early when the Switch came out, right? Like, it's been like 5 years. I got the collector's edition. I got like the Master Sword and everything. And, yeah, I have not finished it. I've beat 2 out of 4 Ganons.
This is long overdue. No touching. Emerge. Right here.
Speaking of freeze...
Shine down.
Oh wait, I got rid of, Eula. I was about to ready to try Eula's burst there.
Nothing lasts forever. Right now. Right here. Inazuma shines eternal.
Oh, see, iframe dodge. I can do it. It's alright. We will survive.
Hold the line.
Man, I love this team so much. I feel like I need to build Ganyu differently for this team to be better, but not that sweaty, I guess. Are you healed, you dick? Man, I wish there was iframes on her E. Alright, condensed resin. Do we have one left after this, or are we done? Got one more left. Ganyu with Elegy. I mean, Skyward Harp's alright, right? No, wait, it's crap because it's crit rate. You don't need crit rate. Fuck. I mean, I'm not great at shooting in the head, so crit rate's not the worst of the worst, I guess. I mean, yes, useless if you play the game right, but hey. If I played the game right, I would have finished all of the Abyss floors.
Right now, emerge. No touching. This is long overdue. There is no escape. Right here, right now. I'm always watching. Right here, right now. Torn to oblivion.
Man, I feel like Raiden's ult just doesn't quite slap as much as I'd like it to. Get out. Come on, Bubbles.
Uphill battle. Access denied. Blaze over. Emerge. Right now. Emerge.
Come on, thank you.
Hold. Right now. Emerge.
Huh. I think I've settled my version 3 characters that I'm hoping to get. Are going to be Dea, Nilo, and Nadia. Oh, Raiden weapons crap too. Yeah, I know I'm supposed to get the the fishing. I started doing that when it came out, and then I just never finished it. And God, it's level 60. Yeah, there's a reason my account sucks. Alright, daily commissions. Did we finish the quests? Did I do that at some point earlier today? I feel like I started doing them. No. That one. Oh, we haven't done any. Defeat. Complete. Jumping challenge. Let's do the jumping challenge first. Has there been any leaks for Dea? I'm pretty sure there was a more recent update where it was leaked that she's at least a 5-star, right? Because I know early on people were like, she's a 4-star, which was distressing. Because I did luck into Candace in like 3 wishes, because I did like a couple of wishes just to get some glitter to at least buy a couple of things from the store before the reset. Because I've not been wishing enough recently to keep up with Star Glitter. Or Stardust, sorry. Jumping challenge, boo. Is this the mushrooms again? Yeah, it's mushrooms. The only problem with me using Dare, which I will, don't get me wrong, is that I've got Hu Tao. Oh, come on. Alright. Just gotta line it up with their hips. I suppose it doesn't hurt to have 2 5-star pyro. It's not like I don't have a couple of cryo. Actually, I've got a lot of cryo if I think about it. Might as well snipe this while we're here. Like, even for cryo, I've got Shen, He, Ganyu, and Eula. I suppose technically I've only got Hu Tao for pyro. I know I've got Diluc, but I haven't, and probably won't build him. Defeat the enemies. We'll keep the fun one for last. Fun being a relative term. I need to also watch out for the leaks for like the materials for the different characters. My current guess is that Nilu will be Basuma Rose, which reminds me I need to go to my garden. I don't think I replanted. Yeah, I remember Diluc falling off pretty bad after the early days. Like 1.0, everyone was re-rolling for Diluc, and I was like, yeah, I don't care. Alright, where's this light? Over there. Oh, I know this. Come on. Boom, 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 ba dum, dum. Boom, ba da 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 da. Time trial. I'm pretty sure time trials just kill enemies, right? But fast. Oh, you're kidding me. You're kidding me. Hopefully it's above ground. I still haven't done the story. I have to catch up on that. Try and do that off stream at least. I've at least found myself back in the groove of trying to upgrade characters. It's not like the story's going anywhere. Yeah.
No touching. Now you shall perish. Shine down.
Yeah, I've been careful of spoilers and stuff because yeah, it seems like some stuff goes down, which I guess, I mean, that's what a story is, stuff going down. I shouldn't be surprised by that. This is a time challenge, I should act like it. Done. Actually, I got distracted with the event as well. Like I tracked down Razor for whatever reason. I'm tracking down Razor. And just left it there last night. Got to keep up with the events. Falling off on the events, that's how it starts. And suddenly you're behind and don't have primo gems for the next banner. Come on, climb, 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 climb. Ba, Dun, 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 dun. Wait, is that a Sumeru Rose? Pretty good chance I'll need that. Sumimasen.
Right here. No touching. Emerge.
Reinforcements.
Allow me. Right here. Emerge. This is long overdue. Born of ice and frost.
Bam. GG, my friends. Alright, let's go chill at Sumeru. Where was you? You over here. Oh wait, the Adventure Guild's empty at the moment, isn't it? Because of the story. Or does it respawn?
Next on the agenda.
Wait, what?
Continue our chat here.
Story. We accidentally jumped into story. Ah, boy. Where's my thing? Alright, come on, give me the story.
Okay, so do you have any ideas on how we can investigate the sages, Nahida? Actually, I've already done a little bit of work on that. But for now, I want to hear your thoughts.
That one.
I've already tried that. But all the key members of the Academia, even the core 30 guards, intentionally avoid wearing their Akasha terminals. It seems that from the very beginning, they've been guarding against info leaks from the Akasha. Of course,
I need to move this way
it
more.
can also be because they're wary of me. Have you already caught the sage's attention? I'm guessing not yet, but distrusting me would make perfect sense if they've ever paid attention to the urban legends about me. In any case, I probably can't take over their minds directly. No way, that's too risky. You mean it'd be too easy to get caught? No, it's not that. We shouldn't involve innocent students in this. A single mistake could completely ruin their lives. Doing that would be ignoring the safety of my people for my own selfish goals. How is that any different from what the sages are doing? That's a good point. Spoken like the god of Sumeru.
Sumeru.
We're in the dark as of now. Since we still don't know anything about their goals, any rash move could tip them off and lead to terrible consequences. After all,
I just wanted to go to the
every
Adventurers
citizen of
Guild.
Sumeru City is one of their hostages.
Oh god, why give me a choice when there's no choice?
Are we really out of ideas? Nahida, you're super smart, so you already have something in mind, right? Don't keep us in
Yeah.
suspense. Spill the beans already.
Come on.
According to a popular theory from the Vahumana Darshan of the Academia, rejecting impractical motions at the beginning of a planning session will give more weight to the actual proposal. Okay, but aren't you the god of wisdom? You don't have to use that kind of gimmick to make us take your ideas seriously. Well, I've been thinking that if I can't directly possess the leaders, and if I can't get ordinary people involved, then I should find someone who's already involved, but hasn't decided to side with the sages. You're saying we should recruit a spy? That does sound like it could work. Oh, before coming back, we met someone named Haytham. He seems like he acts alone, and he likes doing stuff behind the Academia's back. They probably aren't in cahoots. Actually, I already have someone in mind. Do you still remember that female scholar named Sataria? Sataria? Paimon
remembers now. Isn't she the one who's always trailing behind the Grand Sage of the Academia? We ran into her basically every time the Sub-Zero's festival repeated itself. You could even say we're old enemies by now. Paimon still remembers the smug and mean way she always spoke to Nilou.
I've always liked observing all kinds of people, and Setaria has always stood out from the crowd.
Give me Catherine
She was
back.
born in the desert and was hailed as their greatest genius. Her academic gifts allowed her special admission into the academia, and also gave her the opportunity to serve as the sage's assistant.
Oh, Paimon didn't know she was from the desert. She must be pretty special then. Paimon feels like most of the desert dwellers around the city are working as mercenaries.
The name Setaria means star. When she lived in the desert, she shone like the brightest star in the night sky. Later on,
All right,
soon after the star
I
began to
tried so
illuminate,
hard
she couldn't give
to
up the
like
radiance of
pay
daytime.
full attention, but holy
To cope
shit.
with her shame, the star buried her guilt.
I know I could go to a different
Funny, but
path.
she doesn't
I just
really-
forgot and got caught in the
One
cutscene.
day, she's suppressing a lot of guilt, but before she realized it, she had
Skip.
already
Skip.
braked. That way, from my past stop tomorrow afternoon to prepare.
Pay more attention when it's there. Oh, come on. Come on. Why involve, like, literal, like, NPC that, like, literally you use daily? This game sometimes, I swear to God.
Ad Astra Abyssal.
Add Astra
Thank you for
Abyssos. Thank you.
Ad Astra Ab.
Drink. 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 Oops. Click. Alright, cool. That's that. We should do some trance domains, shouldn't we? What trance domains do I need? It's gonna be for talents, right? Oh God, I hate everyone needs this fucking nectar. Because that's what Raiden needs, doesn't it? Oh wait, no. No. Alright, so we need 2 more philosophies of light.
So nice to de-stress. Wow.
Granted, I should probably just craft all the philosophies of light I can. 4-star, yep. 16. Bam. Bonus. Talento. Oh, we crowned that already. What's the priority here? Suppose it doesn't really matter. Alright, now 3-star handguards. Two-star handguard? Do I have no handguards left? You mongrels. Guess we're going to be killing some samurai. Talents. So we definitely need more of these, because that'll only get her to level 10 on that. Alright, so... This was from, yeah, Signora. I'll probably crown all of them just because it's her, but yeah, like Omen does seem like the better choice since it's doing all that damage for other characters too. That's not Signora. That's not... Oh god. Here we go. Yeah, Ganyu. That was not the right one. Confirm. I wonder if I would do these quicker in multiplayer. In single player. I just like these being my multiplayer, you know, thing in this game. Carry me, senpai. Please carry me, Aether 2.0.
Osmanthus wine tastes the same as I remember. But
Come on, everyone be Li Yue in.
share.
Ah, Venti, you ruined it. We could have all been from Li Yue.
Next on the agenda.
For Rex Lapis. Okay, not Tignari ruins it as well. You guys suck. Where's your role playing? Not healer. Ha! God damn it. Oh boy.
Every journey has a
What's going on?
day. Don't rush.
This is no place to loaf around.
It's better. I was actually going to change to Kokomi. I wasn't going to be the toxic player, don't worry. Signora.
You're trembling. Is it the cold or
She reminds
just
me of a Sailor Moon
cowardice?
villain.
Hold the line. Access denied.
Into the
And all the
frozen void.
flashing. Alloy? Is that a serious answer or is that just because you want to be funny?
Detestable.
Alright, where are the fireflies?
No touching.
Ah, wrong button.
Let's move out.
Oh, I thought I saw one there. Come on. Zhongli. Excuse me.
Blaze around.
Let me just pop that there for a second.
Embrace your searing reckoning.
Oh, hello.
Embrace your searing reckoning.
Access
Yoink.
denied.
Embrace your searing reckoning.
Time for a light. Come on. Focus.
20k, let's go.
Not every wound will heal. Not even ashes will remain.
No touching.
Oh. Man, I really wish we could more, like, often skip this phase.
All hail! Embrace your searing reckoning!
Hold the line.
Where'd she go?
We're way behind schedule.
Call me a witch!
Oh shit.
Rex,
Standing in the red.
I am sorry.
That's alright. They got it. Normally that one's a gimme. Wish there was more ways for resurrection in this game.
Never asked for redemption. Never.
Energy recharge. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I just get really lazy with the NRP because you got to keep stocking it and blah blah blah. Level 4. Boss opponent. God, what? It's one more day till reset, isn't it? Domains and furnishings. That's right. We needed to check our food. No, food out. This thing.
This realm is
Alright, just make whatever. These just take 5 hours, right? Ah, 15. Whatever. That'll be done in time. That's fine. Daijobu. I can convert stuff. Eee. Handy. The depot. Oh, they haven't come back yet. So it's weekly. Ooh, that makes more sense. That makes more sense. Alright, I think I've got some to plant anyway. I'm just hoping to have a full 8 to plant, you know? I don't spend this stuff like I should, so yes, I have probably more than I need. So you're probably spending things when you get them, making it, actually getting value out of this. Sumeru Rose, let's go. I got a good feeling about that being the waifu material of choice. Alright, that's that done. Actually, yeah, that's a good idea. I should start buying those.
This realm is
These that keep going stale. It's alright, we'll use them this time. That feels like a waste because it's 1,000 experience. Although I've got a lot of these points, I guess. Lou.
If you ever have any...
Look at that, we've done a responsible amount of Genshin Impact for the day. Oh, we still got 100, how do we have 100 resin? Hey Gary, what's going on? I could have swore I spent more than that. I fought the dumbass a couple of times. Alright, alright. Alright, I'm gonna be lazy.
Next on the agenda.
Bam. And we collect that and yeah. World of Warships. You play World of Warships? Holy moly. I spent a small amount of time playing World of Warships. Primarily when they had the Azure Lane crossover, so you could get like waifu ships. Except I don't think I ended up owning the waifu ship, even after all that.
Access denied.
One of those things all my friends started playing at one point. It was a fun game. The slow pace is very forgiving towards my lack of Twitch skills in terms of shooters. But the fact that all the ships are going really slow and you just sort of got to try and get them on their heading. I did try a bit of World of Tanks after that as well, but yeah, it wasn't quite the same. Found I got killed way quicker. Yeah, it's definitely a addictive little game.
Illusion shattered. Right here, right now.
Come on, come on, come on.
Hold the line!
Torn to oblivion. Access denied. Blaze over.
Come on, Ganyu. I'm trying something new at the moment where I spend maybe a little bit more time on YouTube,
Didn't see that coming.
even when I'm playing some games. to then also do some more content stuff as well. Alright, cool. That should be all my dailies. Bam. Yeah, being productive and like spending your time wisely. Like I find that it's a bit of a misnomer to feel that non-productive time is not productive in the sense that it puts you in the right space to be productive later on. Yeah, I think World of Warships was a lot more, at least it felt at the time that like I wasn't fighting against cash shop items. Yeah. Whereas World of Tanks, it felt like there was a lot shorter time to kill than in World of Warships, where at least there was a bit more time to sort of have a bit of a fight before you just blew up. Yeah, it's hard to break that guilt. Like I'm not going to pretend it's easy. Like it's one of the things that I envy in Gen Z is that I think that they've not grown up with that brain broken attitude towards work and life. We've got to work to break it. They never had it in the first place. And I mean that in the most positive sense. Which is why I think part of what I was going to do today is look at some Landlord stuff. Because holy shit, talking about fucking people that try to make every little fucking thing in their life about being productive to the point where they lie to themselves about how productive it is for them to fucking buy houses.
Next on the agenda.
Alright. I like to think between Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z, we've all sort of stepped on each other's shoulders to get to the point where Gen Z at least has a bit more of a chance to not fall into toxic work culture. Right, so there's a few things I need to do.
If you lie on the grass, you can
Probably
feel the heartbeat
predominantly
of the world.
is to get rid of the Genshin Impact and bring back our chill beats. I forgot to do that after our story changed. And I do want to... that music could be a bit softer. I do want to quickly... I just realized I got a shortcut to open File Explorer. Fancy. I just do want to try and quickly see if I can clear some space on my C drive, because I would like to record when I'm actually doing a video segment thingy. And I ran out of space shortly after I started the stream because I've got really bad hard drive hygiene. I think millennials have inherited it. So the issue with inheriting things from generations is that millennials are largely the kids of baby boomers and the older Gen X. So we still have the same expectations of what baby boomers think a good life is. What's a C drive? Gen X's are the ones that are largely the parents to Gen Z. And I think Gen Z, because Gen X have sort of disengaged from sort of that promise, they're in a good position to like not carry it on forwards and stuff. It's really weird. It's sort of the stuff I see on TikTok. And I say that under the full naive belief that, you know, being involved in these spaces online, you sort of do get a feel for where different generations are at and what the kids are into. But let's see if I can figure out this drive space issue. How's that? No, wait. How's that lighting? Isn't that good? Look at it change. Holy shit. And I'm still not looking properly for the camera. All right, so where is this trying to save stuff? I just need these lights here for this cabinet, and we're good. Show recordings. Ah! I should probably just delete all these, right? If I haven't made a video out of them by now, they're probably not worth having. Alright, guesses. How many gigs of unused recordings do I have? If you weren't here, Gary, I'd be mean to Gen X, but I'll be nice since you're here. Actually, I think of us being around the same age. I'm in my late 30s. Does that, like, feel free to not disclose your rough age, but, oh, they're not old as in, like, that old. They're just, like, Twitch streams and stuff that I never did anything with. 212 gig. Let's go. Delete that shit. 100 gig was the closest without going over. Gary, 2 gig. Are you kidding me? Okay, yeah, you're definitely Gen X. I recognize I straddle the line. Like, technically, I could probably elect to identify as a Gen X. But I definitely act like a millennial. And ironically, I act like a younger millennial. I've just got really bad eyesight. Both of those could be true. It's funny because that's meant to sound self-depreciating to me, but maybe that comes off as a bit arrogant. So. Alright, so hopefully I can record again. 2 gig. Goodness gracious. Let's just... No. Yeah, we'll do that. Right, so... Will it not let me start recording? Oh, wait, there we go. Nice! Nice! Look at me, pro. Hey. I grew up and I used cassettes. I made mixtapes, I recorded things off the radio, I borrowed someone's CD, put it in my stereo system and hit record and play at the same time and left the room so I could record their songs. Right? Totally did that. Pencil in the middle, twist. That's how you get it rewound if you didn't have it in your Walkman. I had a black and white TV with the knobs, and you got to pull the knob out, twist it to tune it in, and then push it back in when you found it. That's where I'd try and watch like dirty shit movies at like 9:30 at night when I was like 14, 15. I knew people that recorded off live radio. I never did, but like I was aware of the concept of like as soon as the DJ says, and coming up next, Guy Sebastian, maybe that's a bit late. Whatever kids were listening to back then, because I was never big into music. And like you'd hit it there and there. And then like you'd rewind after you press stop to try and get to the end of it. And yeah. Granted that, you know, before I left high school, we were, you know, borrowing each other's CD packs, like the pouches full of CDs to like rip onto computer. Although I do also remember downloading MP3s. A 3.5 minute song would take like 15 minutes. But it was fine. Like it's going to take 15 minutes to download this 3.5 minute song. But if I listen to it 10 times, I've saved time. Like that's 30 minutes out of the 15 minutes I spent downloading it. Yeah, you hear that? Oh man, nostalgic. Nostalgic kids these days, I don't know how good they got it. Dial-up connection. We had what was it called? Oh shit, what was it called? Yeah. I was talking to my girlfriend earlier this week. So my early computer, I had I never had a penny. Sorry, not a Pentium. I never had a 486 or anything. My first computer, I think, was a Pentium 150 with Windows 95. It was a 1 gigabyte hard drive. So when I installed Daggerfall on it, the Elder Scrolls 2 before before Morrowind, which is before Oblivion, which is before Skyrim, like old stuff. I'd have to delete everything except for Windows to fit that one game on it, which was a pain in the ass whenever I wanted to play it. But yeah, with that computer, like I remember times when I'd format my computer, forget to get the totally legit, not wares, remember wares? Like actual wares? CD key for Windows, or I'd forget something. And like we actually used Terminal between my modem and my friend's modem to connect and send a file, like over Terminal, like not even the internet, like literally just calling each other's computer to establish a connection. We even used it to make, to play MechWarrior 2 and MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries. Like that was the multiplayer we were trying to make. Whew. The only cassette I had was, I think, for Commodore 64. And like the cassette tapes and stuff were, like it was the software that you'd load up and stuff. But the only reason I had that sort of stuff wasn't because I was around at the time. It's because when I was quite young, I was living with my grandma and we were very poor. So instead of getting like the Nintendo, she would go to like, what are they called? Oh shit, I can remember. Like she'd go to like Lifeline or Salvation Army to the secondhand shops, and she'd buy like an Atari or a Commodore 64 or something. Because they were so cheap. I feel like, isn't the Amstrad a better gaming machine now? Or maybe it's just my disproportionately British diet of like retro gaming channels on YouTube where Amstrad was bigger than Commodore, right? 128 colors. Yeah. King's Quest era. So King's Quest 5 was the first one that I played. And I remember like having to flick through 256 color. But then like finding games that were like 16 bits, 32 bits. And now look at us, we're playing games with loot boxes and season passes and all sorts of fun stuff. I'm waiting to see whether or not I spend $800 on a RTX 3070 or on a RTX 4060. I do. So I got, actually I'll show you what I got recently. I got a, it's called an Anne Odin. It's a handheld, that's the Loki. Here we go. The AYN Odin, which is, oh, we're still on the lights, which is this handheld here. Fuck off. And like, it's a emulation. Basically, it's an Android phone, let's be real. Like, it's got a Snapdragon 845, I think, in it. It runs Android 11, but like, you load it up with all these emulators that will play like Commodore 64, Amstrad, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, all the way to PlayStation like 2. Doesn't play every PlayStation 2 game, it'll play some. It'll play some GameCube, it'll play some Wii U. But I'm going back and playing like, particularly like Super Nintendo games are like my prime in terms of like nostalgia. Super Nintendo, PlayStation 1, so like Lufia, Terranigma, Secret of Mana, Final Fantasy 7, all that sort of stuff. And I've just loaded this up. Like currently I've got it loaded up with every PlayStation, every Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. But I'm playing through Lufia, which is like a role-playing game on the Super Nintendo. I want to stream it. but copyright is a thing. I might use it to stream Terranigma because I do have the cartridge for Terranigma lying around somewhere. But man, it's so good. So nostalgic. We're going to go to the hospital tomorrow for my wife's mother. She's in for something not too serious. But I'll be taking that with me so I can sit there grinding away on Lufia too. There's something special to me about getting an emulator that's a handheld console-like experience because I've never been able to stick on emulation through PC. Like if I sit at my PC with a keyboard and a mouse, even if I've got a controller plugged in, for whatever reason, my mind doesn't like tickle with that. But give me like a console and suddenly it just, I don't know, it makes a big difference for some reason. Maybe it's because I've invested money in it, but I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? All right, so we did do some research. Is not going to be the right word, but basically, what I want to try and do is I do want to try and look at some landlord stuff. Mostly because I had an argument. No, an argument gives it maybe a little bit too much. Maybe that's being a bit too kind to what the discussion was. On Reddit, I use Reddit. I'm a Redditor. Don't hold it against me. I also tweet and I also use other things. And I recently-ish, so basically over the last couple of months, as a homeowner, we've owned our home for, well, I say owned, we've had a mortgage on a house for the last 2 years since 2020. And if you haven't been living under a rock, you'll be aware that the cash rate has been going up, which has led to interest rates going up for very complicated and ridiculous reasons that basically boil down to people are spending too much money, so businesses are making too much profit. And because businesses are making too much profit, that's leading to inflation because there's too much money being created into the economy. And instead of dealing with that by addressing profit in companies and doing things that might lead them to invest more money back in, rather than to generate wealth and withdraw it from the economic system. So instead of doing anything that would lead to that, such as higher taxes on corporate taxes, the solution appears to be to increase the cash rate and interest rates, which means that people are paying more for borrowed money. Now, if you're a normal person, chances are borrowed money, the vast majority of that is going to be money that's tied up in a home loan. So, for example, my home loan is around $400,000. That is by far the largest portion of borrowed money in my life. And therefore, when that goes up from 2.78% to currently 5.03%, that doubles how much interest I'm paying every month. So for me, what's happened is that my mortgage repayments have gone from $1,650 a month to $2,150 a month. So they've gone up by, $500 a month, $125 a week, which I'm not going to pretend otherwise. It's fine for me, and it's not a problem. It just means that I don't spend money and inflate the economy by making more profit for businesses. But it's very easy to imagine a situation where that isn't fine. And that's the situation that a lot of people are finding themselves in. So if I was to think back to when I was working in retail and I was bringing home, say, $650 a week, what's that? That's $2,600 a month. And my mortgage repayments are now $2,150, then we're talking about numbers that are a lot more dangerous. So you might think that's really sad, and it's it's a shame for people that have bought houses. But what does that mean for renters? I mean, they're not paying interest, so that's going to be fine. And the interesting thing I've found in my time in Oz Finance subreddit, which the contention of the subreddit is people go there for financial advice. They'll ask, what should I do? I've got $5,000. Should I invest it? Should I pay off my debts? Should I get a job that pays $2,000 less or $20,000 less a year, but it saves me an hour in transit every day? Like, they're the sort of questions people are asking. But there is a sort of core user base there that are also, fairly wealthy investors by the sounds of it, particularly property investors, people that invest in shares and stuff like that. And often when the idea or the discussion around rent comes up, you hear this phrase or you hear this idea that the price of rent is not dictated by mortgage prices, it's dictated by supply and demand, which I'm not personally convinced of, but they seem to live and die by it. They seem to think that if mortgage prices go up because of increasing interest, there will be less houses on the market that are being rented out, so that will reduce supply, but there'll be more demand. It doesn't make sense to me, because I actually think that shelter is like inelastic in terms of its supply demand, so that the supply can be artificially raised by everyone having a vague idea that, well, we don't want to lose money on our house. So what are we to do with landlords? They say they're not passing on the interest rates and that it will be a supply and demand issue. I have been keeping a tabs on the market around me because I want to know what, rent prices are a good indicator for me on whether or not the value of my house is going up or down, because part of the value of a house is how easy it is to tenant. And it's really, really funny to me that the average rent price around here for me, in similar properties, in some cases almost identical, is almost exactly my cost for my mortgage, plus how much I pay in rates every quarter, plus my weekly body corporate fees, which are basically the entirety of the costs for a house that are discrete to home ownership, that aren't applicable to a renter. So funnily enough, they seem to match up to for me at the moment. So it'll be interesting. The fact that like rental properties, when I bought, it was cheaper for me to pay my mortgage than it was for me to pay my rent. And now 2 years down the track, rent has gone up proportional to the increase in my mortgage. So I was renting literally 20 meters away from where I purchased. And I lived in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment. And I moved into a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. So very much sort of apples and apples when it comes to comparison. My rent back then in 2020, when we moved out, was $400 a week. And we were moving into a house where we had a mortgage that worked out to be, it was about $350 a week, plus the body corporate fees, which were about $70 a week, quite expensive, but hey, that's what it is. So that brings me to $420, and then rates about an extra $30 a week. So I was paying $450 instead of $420, but I had a additional bathroom. I had a balcony that was about 3 times the size. I had a kitchen that was bigger. I had a laundrette where I had no laundrette in the other place. And to my mind, that sort of calculation works out that this house was cheaper. When you account for the additional space, the additional rooms, the additional bathroom, all that sort of stuff. I think we're still close to being cheaper because rental prices here have gone up by $100 over the time. So they've gone up by 25%. But my mortgage payments haven't quite gone up by 20. They've gone up by about the same, actually, which I guess is the point. But anyway. The body corps are like they seem to be very dependent on the property you're in. So like I'm in a property that's got lifts, that has a pool, that has a lot of residents. There technically might be a video on my YouTube channel for when I moved in, when it was empty. Like, I think I did a YouTube Shorts, which probably isn't like the tour, but there'd have to be a few things that occur for me to do a house tour, and that would mostly come down to like it being clean, which we sort of do a moving cleaning in a house where we clean rooms at different times in the week, and so it's not all clean, but I'll give it some thought for sure. Yeah, the body corpse, there's a lot of complexity around it. When we moved in here, it was a new building, newly established, so there wasn't a lot of history. But we did get a full report that told us about, you know, what's the sinking fund. So like, how much money does the body corporate keep on hand to deal with issues as they arise? We got a copy of like all these emails from tenants that had already moved in where there was issues. So for example, when we moved in, we knew there was an issue where the cages, the storage cages down in the car park, there were some issues with those being broken into. So we sort of had an idea where it was all at. So hopefully we made an okay decision. I know in Sydney there's a big problem with unit blocks and apartments being really subpar. I hope that's not true in Queensland, because, you know, we didn't have a liberal government, so maybe our apartments are okay. Yeah, renting. Anyway. I've not pre-watched anything, because why would I prepare? But I do have a 7-minute segment from ABC, Tenants and Landlords Pitted Against Each Other. So I was curious to see like what this is going to be. So let's see what happens. Let's see how we go. That's a bit low.
Is just days away from being homeless.
I can't sleep. I've told myself not to cry, and I've decided not to break down, because
Is that better? Yeah.
I never thought I would be in this situation. When Tuesday morning comes, I have absolutely no idea where I'm going to go with Noah, or where we're going to stay, or how I'm going to put a roof over our heads.
She's spending about $800 a week to stay in this caravan park. And for the last 7 days, she's been desperately searching.
I'm sorry, what? How much to live in a caravan park?
For a permanent in this caravan
Over our heads.
She's spending about $800 a week to stay in this
$800 a week? Are you fucking kidding me?
Roof over our heads.
Which caravan park is this? West Beach Parks. I'm sorry, I need to... It says Big Four, which suggests that it is a tourist caravan park, but still. So, funny story, I lived in a caravan park for a little while, multiple times in my life. And never. Holy shit. So Adelaide. Like, that's more expensive than a fucking, like, 3-bedroom house. All right, let's see. Let's go to November. Let's go from the 6th to that. Just go 1 adult and no kids. It must be down to like availability. She must be paying like a nightly rate or some bullshit. An ensuite powered site. That's $500. So something's going on that she's paying $800. The thing is, like, so when I lived in a caravan park, it was when I was living in Hervey Bay, right? I was 19, 18, something like that. Where did our music go? And basically what happened is that I had been living in a friend's house. That was the wrong YouTube. I was living in a friend's house and basically got sick of the people coming in and out. And one of my friends at the time, they thought I had left empty pizza boxes in the living area. So they dumped the pizza boxes on my bed. And I'm like, that's it. That's not my pizza box. I didn't fucking do it. I'm out. And I basically moved out of there and moved into a caravan park. And it was like $250 a week or something like that. Like it was... And like this is Harvey Bay. Like Harvey Bay is a city that is for tourists. Like this, that's crazy. Anyway,
She's spending about $800 a week to stay in this caravan park. And for the last 7 days, she's been desperately searching for a permanent place to rent, and she's almost run out of money.
It's ridiculous. I apply all the time. I go to inspections all the time. I will go to an inspection, even go home like an hour later to go and apply, and I've already got an email to say, oh, it's been leased. So some of the places, you don't even have a chance to apply for them. Like there's Sonic in there.
Lauren and her son moved into the caravan park about 2 weeks ago after they were evicted from their home.
With my eviction, it was under a frustrated agreement, which was when two parties can't come to a mutual agreement.
Lauren first raised issues about the condition of the house in 2020 and eventually took the agent and landlord to the South Australian Civil Tribunal. 20 days after the first hearing, she was ordered to move out.
I honestly think that because I needed repairs, I don't think they liked that at all, and it was easier to evict us.
My YouTube pause button doesn't know what to do when I've got too many things going. I hope that they clarify what the I was going to say QCAT, that's Queensland Civil Authority Tribunal. I hope they go into a bit more detail what the tribunal decision was.
The real estate agent who ordered Lauren and her son to move out says she was not evicted due to the tribunal proceedings, and the landlord did respond to all maintenance requests.
Disputes between tenants and landlords are not uncommon. In fact, up to 100,000 cases between...
So eviction will make it harder for you to get a new rental property. So I actually had issues. So the last time I rented was... So I've been here 2 years, and then before that I was in my other apartment for 4 years. Now that was when me and my now wife moved in together for the first time. When I was moving in with her and we were applying for rental places, funny story, we applied in the same development that we now own. And we did not get a call back when we put in to say, hey, we'd like to apply to rent that place. And the issue is that when I was doing a rental application, one of the questions is, have you ever been party to a terminated lease agreement? Something along those lines. And the last place I lived in with two friends. It was a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom townhouse. And the predominant reason we moved is because the owner sold the house and the new owner intended to move in, right? They were buying it to be a place that they would be the resident of. The new owner requested from us if they could move in early. So they asked us if we would be okay with terminating the lease so they could move in early, because we had like 4 months left. Now we were like, okay, we're reasonable people. We're happy to, accommodate someone who's buying a house to live in. And we said, look, we're happy to alter the lease. However, in return, we would like some extra flexibility so that when we go looking for our next place to live, we have a better chance to choose something that works for us. And so what we asked for is, like, instead of ending the lease at the end of the fixed term, which was 4 months away, that we could terminate the lease at any time with, I think it was 2 weeks or maybe 4 weeks notice. Essentially going, okay, cool. As long as we can give you 2 weeks notice at any time between now and the end of the lease, and you're happy for us to terminate the lease without any fees, we'll do that. So that's how we operated. We started looking for new places. I ended up having the opportunity to move in with my partner at the time. And when we were looking for places, it's like, have you ever had an early lease termination? And I say yes. And then I explain, we agreed for the lease to be terminated to allow a new owner to take possession of the building after they purchased it. We never heard back from Circle One. The next place we applied to, we asked, basically gave them the same information. After we didn't hear for a week, I called them and I said, hey, look, just following up on our application. They're like, oh, there were some issues with the way you answered this question. Could you explain? Got to explain, got accepted, got the unit. But if I hadn't called and followed up, having answered that question honestly, it was a black mark. Its default is a black mark if you say yes, despite the fact that it was yes, we have had a lease that was terminated early, but it was for the benefit of the owner at their request. They don't read the next line. So like anyone that gets evicted, that's going to be sort of to the next level of that, where they can't even necessarily explain it, not in a way that's necessarily going to be satisfactory to the landlord. Because remember, the landlord's thinking, this is an asset, this is something I need to protect, this is something that I'm going to retire on. The risk that this mother and child are at, they're not thinking about that. The 90 days notice is the minimum required without, but you can agree to a lower than that, because it's the same it might be 60 days in Queensland, but you can agree to lower terms as well.
Between tenants and landlords are listed in state and territory courts and tribunals every year, but with vacancy rates at record lows and rents continuing to increase, the stakes in these disputes have never been higher.
Real estate agent Samantha Gathram Goss became disillusioned with the way her tenants were treated.
Oh my God, I was about to be really mean to her because they said she was a real estate agent, but if she's going to be one of the... I've never heard of a real estate agent on the tenant side, so we'll see how this goes. All the real estate agents I've dealt with have been either uncaring or actively malicious.
During the darkest days of the pandemic.
I struggled a lot during COVID, having people lose their jobs and being unable to, help them. Obviously, as an agent, our responsibility typically lies with the owner, but I do believe it takes two to tango. And in some circumstances, there wasn't a whole lot of cooperation from one or both parties, and that led to some fairly poor outcomes, whereas I wanted to step into something where I felt everyone shared a similar mindset on fairness and equality.
She now works for an agency.
100% impossible for that to be the case in a relationship between a property investor and a renter. There's never going to be fairness and equality there, because there's always going to be disproportionate power with the home owner's ability to just end a tenancy. It's the system itself doesn't allow for that.
That seeks ethical landlords. The agency rents properties at 10% below the market rate and donates management fees to a charity which houses low-income Australians.
Several years ago, it was unusual to have people applying for properties that were well outside of their affordability. Now we're seeing an increased number of people applying for properties at 40, 50%, sometimes more of their income. What we do with the affordable housing.
So she's trying her best. She is trying her best. The reason that people are applying for houses outside of their affordability, so if you haven't heard, typically the rule is if you are spending more than 30% of your income on your housing, then you are putting yourself at risk of not being able to afford your housing if something goes wrong, right? You're spending too much of your income, and it's too difficult to overcome that if something happens to you. But I have never, ever, once in my life, been able to afford to live by myself in a property near work that I can do. I would basically need to spend 50% of my income to live here. Yeah, it would be actually. Yeah, what's our mortgage? We worked it out to be $2,100 a month. That's plus another, over 50%. It'd be over 50% of my income to live here by myself. Like the reason people are applying for places that are above their affordability is because that's how much places cost, not because it's not their choice, it's their circumstance.
Housing is offer an alternative for the owners that wish to take an extra step and provide affordable homes.
Thomas and Katrina purchased their apartment 5 years ago. They're all too happy to rent it for less than they'd get on the open market.
It's not just some investment item that we're talking about. It's something that someone's going to actually have to live in and try and build their life in. And it makes a huge difference how it's actually run.
Rather than make the world a little worse, we wanted to make the world a little better.
They said 10% below market rate, right? Like 10%. I'm sorry. Like unless you're renting at 50% under the market rate, and I don't think it should be the market rate. I honestly think it should be the mortgage rate that you're paying. That should dictate the rent. I did a tweet a little while ago where I asked the question like, what was it exactly? It was basically the idea was like asking people if they thought that if a landlord rented out a house and only charged 50% of their mortgage in terms of rent, do they make a loss? 50% of the people said yes, the landlord is making a loss there. Now, there was some back and forth about, you haven't worded that question exactly right, and because Twitter people are going to tweet. But like what I was getting at there is like, if you boil down home investment to numbers, right? You are taking out a $500,000 loan to buy a $500,000 house. Now, if I rent that house out, that $500,000 house, that $500,000 loan, and rent that out to someone and say, okay, you are now paying me $400 a week for that, and I'm taking that $400 and I'm paying back the loan, then at the end of 30 years, I now have a $500,000 asset that I effectively didn't pay any money for. Now that's super simplified, and like landlords are going to come and say, well, you're not accounting for interest, you're not accounting for fees, you're not accounting for management costs and stuff. And that's where we can get down to the fact that, well, hang on a second, because the other side of that coin is that after 30 years, when property prices go up by 5% per year on average, when you're actually charging people more than what your mortgage repayments are, the average loss in 2016 for 1 year for a renter, for a rental property, the loss the owner made was about $8,000. In the same year, though, their house appreciated in value by about $20,000. So they actually didn't make a loss. Their asset is continuing to grow. And then when they retire, they've got, quite a wealth, accumulation of wealth happening, particularly if they, do this multiple times over multiple properties. To like rent something out at 10% below market price doesn't make you a good person, I don't think. I think the idea of like commodification of housing in any sense is immoral and unethical when there are people that are struggling to find a house. Like this would be different if everyone had like a base social housing option that they could elect into, and then if they wanted to like get a house with a different type of fit out or layout, or outside of the options that are available under a social housing policy, then that's what the rental market, like the rental market was for luxury, but there was still a market available for people that wasn't commodified, that is for need. But yeah, negative gearing is I hate. See, the other thing I don't get right here in Australia is that like we can take out $50,000 in debt for a university degree, but we can't do the same for a house. And like everyone likes to talk about, well, no, you've got to save up a deposit for a home because you've got to prove that you can pay the money back. It's like, well, I'm paying the money back no matter what I do. If I rent, I'm paying a mortgage. So why not just let me take a mortgage? Like, I know it's not as simple as that because you don't want to have the subprime sort of mortgage market that led to the crash in 2008. But I feel like there is a way to work that problem through where people can access housing. I think the government could support that. But
Up in the well.
LMI? I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about LMI. Part of the reason is we got into an LMI waiver program. But yeah, like the idea that I'm more risky because I don't have $50,000 in the bank than someone that has $50,000 in the bank, when I have a history of 20 years of paying rent on time every time, of never being unemployed, and like that's not good enough for me to be able to like finance a home. So I'll be really clear. Like, I only got a house because of fortuitous circumstances, right? I was literally lucky. Like, the mechanisms I was able to access to purchase this house without revealing a bit too much about my financial situation, it was luck-based. It was not skill-based. Yeah, so lucky me, I guess. Finally, because I was looking into the rent-to-own, which are scams, but I was like just bored, and I was like, right, I understand this $5,000 deposit house option being advertised on Facebook with claims of low interest and stuff. I know that's a scam, but let's go and get the information and understand how it's a scam. And it turns out the way it's a scam is that like it's shitty quality houses. And on top of that, the interest rate was about 50% more than market interest rates. So you'd be paying like a ridiculous amount of extra interest on it, which is pretty crazy.
Well-heeled hills of Sydney, Andrew Duggan says he's also been doing it tough.
Oh, I think the last 5-6 years has been stressful for us in this space, yeah.
So how many houses do you own?
Oh,
7.
God.
And
no, he's an owner. He's a property owner, and we're going to hear how tough it is. Oh, tell me how tough it is, Daddy.
Have you considered putting the rent up in any of them?
So we've been putting the rent up a little bit.
He's going to tell us how he's got no control over it, and he's going to tell us why it's not his fault, but he's trying to do his best for his tenants.
The good times for landlords, are not there right at the moment.
Oh my God.
He says because of changes to tenancy law in Queensland that make it harder to evict tenants and new property
It's harder to kick people out of homes. Oh my God. It's so tough being a landlord. Fuck you.
taxes, his portfolio is much less lucrative.
How big's your portfolio?
See, landlords have got next to no rights.
Sorry, look at him in his fucking high-vis out there as if he's going to mow every lawn in all the houses he owns. Like, fucking hell. And you know what? Even if it comes out that, yes, he goes out and he mows all the lawns of all the properties he owns, that's a fucking invasion of privacy for the tenants as far as I'm concerned. Like, if your landlord is anywhere near your fucking house, outside of the once every 3 months they have the right to come in and do an inspection, they can fuck right off. If they want to have someone look after the lawn, they can pay someone to fucking do it, but them snooping around, fuck that.
That's it all now, and tenants are getting all the rights. I'm not a charity, that's absolutely certain. We're unable to increase rents to match the rate of increase of land tax.
There are lots of really good private landlords, and of course.
Okay, I'm gonna show some ignorance, right? What's land tax? Is he talking about rates? I've owned my house for 2 years, right? I've never got a land tax bill. My understanding is that Queensland land tax. My understanding is that like capital gains tax on property increasing only happens when you realize the profit, i.e. when you sell. It doesn't happen as it goes up. Queensland land tax. Land tax rates for individuals. Is it on income for land? Oh, it is. Okay. So maybe it's for property investors. Let's have a look at these tax rates. So the rates below apply to the local taxable value of land owned at midnight 30th of June by an individual or the trustee of a special disability trust based on annual land valuation. God, who gets annual land valuations? I had to get my land valued like myself. It doesn't apply under a certain value. Queensland only. Oh, what is this? Oh, God. I don't want an estimate. I want a table. Ah, here we go. I'm sorry. 1%. 1% on $400,000. What's that? $4,000? So $4,500 for anything $1 million. Oh, here's the easy. Yeah, okay. So $1 million property is $4,500. $3 million property, $37,500. Fuck me. Come on, mate.
Of course, there are lots of great organisations and great government agencies that provide affordable rental housing. But the problem that we have is that for the most part, renters just haven't been valued.
Laws differ across the country, but New South Wales Housing Trust CEO Michelle Adair argues that housing in Australia is seen as a means of making money,
yes,
not providing shelter.
One in 3 people rent a home today, and probably 9 out of 10 Australians rent at some stage. And yet we have had decades of government policy that just really disregards the rights of tenants and their safety and security.
That's interesting, because the last person told us that it's the owners that have no rights, but the tenants have all the rights. So I don't know if we've got enough time left in this story to really get to the bottom of that, do we?
Michelle Adair says her organisation is trying to access tax concessions, which would provide an incentive for landlords to offer up rentals at a more affordable price. But the process is shrouded in red tape.
So those rules and those arrangements are already in place.
Bad policy.
They take quite a lot of money and quite a lot of time and effort to establish. So that is
Doesn't
the
work.
sort of quick fix, short-term measure that the federal government could enact straight away.
Doesn't happen. No.
Michelle
Living in a dream
was
world.
once homeless, but she says she's never been more concerned for the future of renters.
Everybody is experiencing a rental housing crisis, and nobody has ever seen anything like it before.
I don't feel secure at all. Going into another private rental, I could be in the same position in 12 months' time.
No, yeah, like that's rent, right? So that last person that was talking about, setting up incentives for landlords. The problem with that, and the reason I don't think it's a solution, is that landlords have like an emotional attachment to their property, and they have an emotional attachment to the idea that poor people are bad for their property, right? They're going to wreck their property. They're not going to pay rent. They're going to need to evict them. It's going to be messy. It's going to be annoying. Really early on in my rental career, I was staying at a place down in Mansfield in Brisbane, like Southside. And there was a house, it was a magical house, right? There was 5 or 6 rooms, 2 levels, there was a pool, there was 2.5 bathrooms. It was fantastic. Sort of house that like everyone was drinking, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. You could go there and people were drinking, right? Beautiful time. And we paid our rent. And we lived there. Well, I lived there for I think 3 months. And it was one of those houses where people would move out, they'd find a replacement, they'd move in, they'd get on the lease. It was all done above board. Like there was no subletting or anything. It was legitimately, we managed the lease and added and withdrew people off the lease as needed. And the owner just decided they wanted a family to live there, that they didn't want uni students to live there anymore. So they ended our lease and we all had to go find other places. I actually ended up living for several months on the floor in someone's lounge room because I didn't have any other options on where to go. I had to wait for those people on the floor, like the floor on who... There was a couple of girls, right? And me and one other guy ended up crashing at their place. Now, the other guy, happy days for him, he was dating one of the girls, but I was not dating the other girl. So I was sleeping in the lounge room. And basically was there for several months until they had their lease finish and we were able to then, together as a group of 4, move into a townhouse. And like that's just life as a renter. Like as a renter, you can never make decisions on what you're going to be doing in life at a certain degree, because you need to go, well, actually, my lease runs out next August, so I can't book that trip because I don't know if they're going to extend my lease or not. Or, I can't, change jobs because I don't know if I'll be able to get rid of this lease, or if I do, can I afford to make the payments on this in another place? And like, it really affects what your choices are and the amount of freedom that you have. But hey, who cares, all right? Like, the tenants have all the power. The landlords have none of it, right? Yo. So there was something else on the search for this that came up that I wanted to look at. There's some clickbaity stuff here actually as well. Renters discover cameras installed after landlord's renovations. Ending a tenancy. Is he gonna be... Nah, he'll probably be fine. My first rental, was my first rental? I think it was my first rental. The first rental I remember that was like a long-term thing anyway was, now it's Hillsong. Back then it used to be called Garden City Church. This was when I was going to Bible college and stuff. But like, I found a place with one of my friends who also went to Bible college after high school. And we were paying $180 a week, so $90 each, for a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom unit. Like, it was like one of those sort of 60s or 70s sort of unit blocks where the garages are underneath and the units are on top. And yeah, that was fine. Like, because I was paying $90 a week, and I think I was getting $400 a fortnight on Centrelink. So I was spending half the money on rent, but back then it was more or less fine. Although back then the landlords would come every Saturday to get the money out of like a little side table. So they'd let themselves in. It was, thinking back, that was fucking weird, but didn't know any better, you know? All right, let's see how to increase your investment property rents. Oops.
Buying property is only one piece of the puzzle. When you're actually going out as an investor, you want to be able to manage your property well as an investor and as a landlord. You want to treat your tenants properly because at the end of the day, they are humans. In this video, I'm going to give you my top tips for any landlord out there.
Sorry, just need that reminder. Don't forget they're human, right?
Today, they are humans. In this video, I'm going to share with you my top tips for any landlord out there that has a property, looking at investing, and how you can actually increase the value of your property as well as increase the cash flow, and it's a win-win for your tenants and for yourself. If you are interested, keep watching. Hey guys, my name's Ravi and welcome back to...
Is he going to make the argument that it's a win for the tenant because like, oh, you've increased the value of property by adding a pool, so your rent's going up, so you'll make more rent and your tenant gets a fancy pool for free?
Personal Finance with Ravi Sharma. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button because
smash it.
About real estate, cryptocurrency, and financial freedom.
Now,
with
crypto.
my content on YouTube, I do talk a lot about buying property, whether to invest, not to invest, and things like that. But what about when you've actually got property? How do we increase the cash flow? How do we increase the value? That's what I want to talk about here, because I do get comments and people messaging me about how hard is it to manage a property, what are the things that I need to look for, and what are the things that you're doing, Ravi, that specifically allows you to keep increasing your cash flow. So let me share some of my tips with you. Number one is get a professional property agent to manage your property. Now, this feels like...
Step one, don't manage your property yourself. Fair, like yeah. That was going to be one of my criticisms. Like, I don't know many people who have rental investments that actually directly look after their property.
It's fairly upfront, it seems pretty simple, but there's so many people that actually come to me and say,
well, why would I want to pay 7 to 10% in management fees when I can just manage it myself?
And I've definitely thought about the same thing, right? If you've got multiple properties and you manage them yourself, you can save quite a bit. But the trouble is with that, it's that you're looking at the short term. If you're really looking at scaling up your portfolio, you're looking at actually enjoying life at the same time and having a life, then you can't simply go out there and
if you want passive income,
10 different properties around Australia, because it becomes very, very difficult. When you have a professional property manager, it doesn't just...
my mother-in-law, she rented out her house after the divorce, and yeah, it is about 10%. Oh, maybe she's wrong then. Even at 10%, it's still a good deal. Like, you imagine if you're renting something out for $500 a week and you're going to pay $50 to never think about that place. Like, it doesn't take long for the work in dealing with the tenant, dealing with the bank transfers, tracking all that. Like, it'd be very easy to do 1 to 2 hours a week in just managing that property, and that $50, yeah.
Just alleviate the problems like the day-to-day and having the inspections and things like that. It actually goes way beyond that. You're not a professional in that area. Now, of course, you can spend time and learn and educate yourself, but I would much rather use that time personally to go and do other things. I rely on my property managers to give me the up-to-date information in the area that I've bought in. Now, obviously, I'm a bit biased because I run a buyer's agency, so we've already got that intel.
I don't think I ever came across a property manager in the real estate that knew what they were doing. There's been more than a couple of times I've had to like politely inform them, hey, what the owners asked you to do is illegal, and here's the reference to the legislation. Anyway.
I was doing this well before the buyer's agency. I was relying on my own education, but predominantly the people that are there. They also have access to like 100 to 200 other properties that they are also managing for landlords. By having access to so many different people, they are learning as well. And so what I want to do is have a really good relationship with my property manager, and in turn, they're going to let me know what are the things that I need to look out for, if I need to renovate, if there's other properties in the area that are doing something similar, how I can stay ahead of the herd. So this is where you need to have a property manager and really build a good relationship with them. It's just like any other relationship. If you feed it and you give it love, it's going to give you so much more back. So for me personally, rather than trying to save a little bit, I'm actually looking at the bigger picture here. Even if that property manager can increase my income by $20 or $30 a week against 5 or 6 properties, now I'm sitting in a position where I'm not only actively providing someone work, but I'm also growing my portfolio at a scalable and sustainable way. Number 2 is regularly updating your property. This for me sometimes falls down on the priority list, but it's something very important, because if you're able to go out there and continue to regularly maintain your property, you're not going to be in a position where you have something that pops up and is actually quite expensive. So rather than focusing on having an issue and then, actually address the issue, you can actually have preventive measures in place so that those don't come up. If you start seeing that there's a bit of dampness in around the bathroom, maybe it's time to call someone in and get that sort of fixed.
Never happens. Never met a landlord. Never met a landlord. Never met a landlord. Like, come on. In the comments, anyone who's ever had a landlord that's come around to be like, hey, look, I just want to get ahead of any problems, so do you mind if we do some testing for dampness or mold or whatever? Like, never happens. Never happens. This is feel-good stuff. This is to make people who are landlords or want to be landlords feel like what they're doing is good, is nice. Like you earlier in here, he refers to having property managers as the opportunity of giving someone some work, as if it's an act of charity on his part to be like so kind and generous that he's going to pay someone money to do some other work. Just about making them feel better.
As well as time away from actually earning an income, because it could require potentially your tenant not to be in the property. So while that tenant's not in the property, you're not earning money. So for me, regularly updating properties just makes sense. That could be as simple as, hey, I know that the property doesn't have air conditioning. Now we're headed into summer. Maybe I should get an air conditioner.
Doesn't happen.
I know that the
Doesn't happen.
Up to an end. I can add that as an added bonus, and that means that either the tenant existing will pay extra, or someone else will want to come in because there's other properties out there that don't have those things. So it's about just looking at risk and reward.
Yeah. So the second part of that is like just so they can tack on the extra $20 a month, and the return on investment for an air conditioner is going to be pretty quick, I think.
Position always. Now, in addition to the cash flow side of things, if you're updating your property, you're also increasing the value of that property. So I'm not talking about going out and spending like $20,000 or $30,000 in renovations every year. What I'm saying is, if you have that mindset to go and increase the value here and there by little things, you can then ultimately save up with the extra positive cash flow you've got from the property to go and do a massive renovation every couple of years. This allows the value of your property to continue increasing, as well as the cash flow increasing, on top of the fact that if you've bought well, you'll also have the demand aspect pushing up prices. Number 3 is get professional photos. I cannot stress this enough, and it blows my mind, especially for me because I rent, right? So I look at properties and I'm like, okay, well, I want to move soon. What am I looking at? And it just turns you off straight away. If the photos are not professionally taken, there's
Actually, like when I do look at rentals, I have the same thought. I'm like, you know, if I just went out with my camera and knocked on some doors, would they pay me? Like, give me $50 and I'll give you like a house that is lit and looks appealing. Like, holy shit, some of them are bad.
poor lighting. You're not even looking at the property. You're like, I'm just turned off this straight away. So if I'm like that, I'm sure other people are like that too. You might be one of those people. Definitely drop a like if you're someone that...
Actually, the fact that there's still shit photos in rental listings, and like I looked in the last couple of weeks, I've looked at rentals, and it still exists. Like, that just shows how desperate people are. They actually don't give a shit. Like if those places weren't being rented because of bad photos, they wouldn't be put up with bad photos. Like, yeah. See, the thing is, right, the ethical elements that are dropped in here are part of them trying to justify to themselves what they're doing. It's part of the protection that they need to surround themselves with to feel good about renting out shelter. Like they see themselves as creating supply to the demand for homes. Like the belief that if it wasn't for investors building properties, there wouldn't be homes for people. But like if there wasn't investors building properties, the cost of properties would go down because there's lower demand, so people would be more likely to be able to afford their own properties. And it's yeah, not as straightforward as they want us to believe.
Enjoy shitty photos.
You want professional photos, come on.
It gives you the best chance to actually get the best tenant. It's not just about earning just an extra few dollars. It's about actually getting a quality tenant in. And that could mean long term, you don't have to change your tenants for a long time. Some of my properties, since I've bought them, have had the same tenant even 10 years before I had the property. So they're more attached to the property than I am. And this is why it's very important to go and regularly update your properties, but also spend a little bit more money to get the professional photos, whether that's to increase the value of your property or to increase your cash flow and get the right tenants later on. Now, before I jump into the last two, if you are interested in more daily updates every find me.
What?
Go and join the Patreon. There's
Our
a link
Patreon.
below. Go out and purchase a property in the right location. This is going to make a world of difference. So many people struggle to find a tenant after the fact because some uncle told them it was a good idea to get into that location because...
Hey, as long as you're in the location, that's all that matters.
No, it doesn't. It comes down to supply and demand, and it doesn't matter what
supply and demand, see?
You want to read or go to uni for. That's just the basic law of economics, right? So if you can get into an area that has a high level of demand relative...
The problem with basic economics is that basic economics is a tool to reach whatever justification you need to reach for a particular preference. I don't think anyone can talk about supply and demand for a housing market without addressing the inelasticity of shelter, but they never do, so.
Relative to the supply and relative to the incoming supply, that means you're always going to have that upward pressure on prices for your properties, whether that's from a rental capacity or whether it's from a selling capacity. So if you can buy well, buy in an area that actually has demand and it's not just made up by some uncle or you think that you would like to live there so someone else would like to live there, that's where the statistics actually come in. And it's also very important when you overlay...
Yeah, 100%. It is conservative governments that push the individual responsibility of like people, landlords should fill it, the market should fill it, not not us collectively.
The final tip is review your rents regularly. It seems pretty straightforward when you say
put your rents up.
Just review your rents regularly. But the thing is, people don't do it because we have a property manager that manages it, the money comes in, the mortgage gets paid, and you sort of like,
hey, I'll take care of it next week.
And then that week turns into a month, turns into a year, and suddenly your rents are...
What's the bet he pretends that this part of this process is to adjust whether the rent goes up or down?
Not reflective of what the market is. Now, if you have a good property manager, they should be keeping you on top of this, but it's also on you. This is your property, right? You need to be accountable for it. So you need to go out there, do some research around every 6 to 12 months about what's happening in the area and ask the question. If you're never going to ask the question, you're never going to get there. So go out there, figure out what's going on, and if you've really increased the value of your property or you know something's happening in that area, it's just worthwhile to have that conversation because an extra $10 equates to $500 a a year. An extra 20 is $1,000, and I'm sure a lot of you would love to have an extra $1,000 when you're ripping it up in Vegas.
Betting on red or black.
If you can go out there and put all of these strategies together, you're going to get the best rent with the best quality tenant, and it's a win-win because you're providing a home for someone.
It's not a win-win. That last one was basically put their rent up by $1,000. Like he talked about how awesome it is to have $1,000. So like you've got to recognize how not awesome it is to get $1,000. No, I didn't say that properly. Cut that. All right, let's try and find something a bit crazier. Shush. Yeah, the last one was just make sure you extract additional money every 6 to 12 months. They gotta let the mask drop occasionally. Shut up! Oh my god. I swear to god, the TikTok desktop app is awful. I don't know if you've seen this guy. This guy's pretty funny. Take it easy, Gary. Good luck. Win, win, win. This is going to be copyright. Just in case it is, we'll mute it. Wait, is this guy mocking landlords or is he earnest? Because like that's pretty serious. Let's see. Okay, I think this is satire. Wait, I can't tell.
No problems. ADHD.
This is gonna be satire.
Neurodivergency. Every minute a war wages within my mind. 1 minute I can focus, the next not as well. We are people too.
I don't know where that was. I don't know where that lands.
Landlords be like. Fixed. Like new. Can't tell. Boogies. No problem. Forever resident. Landlord.
Hey there, I've been looking for an apartment.
This guy's fantastic. I remember him being on TikTok a while ago. And basically, he was a smart ass. We'll see if he goes
tells us right here. To rent, and I've made a few applications, and I got approved for one apartment, but it wasn't my favourite one, so I'm going to keep looking. But in the meantime, I emailed the real estate agent asking for something I've never asked for before. I said, "Hi Stephanie, no worries. I'm still looking at a few other properties, and I'll let you know how I go. Would the owner provide a landlord reference from a previous tenant?" And it's occurred to me I've never heard of anyone asking for this, but they ask me for like 3 references to see if I'm a good guy. What about them? Are you a good guy? Are you going to fix stuff? Are you going to reply to my emails? Are you just going to ignore me once I'm in there? So I'll let you know what they respond. But I feel like if we all start asking for this, it could become a thing. Hey there, I've been looking.
So spoiler alert, what actually happened is that it got out that he did this. This TikTok went relatively viral, and he actually couldn't get a place as quickly as he probably would have otherwise. Like he had places that he was making applications in earnest. Like he says in this one, it wasn't his favorite place. He was being a bit cheeky. But then he had places that were like, oh, look, you're probably not the right match for us because they saw this and they were so pissed off at the audacity to imagine asking for a reference for the person that's going to be responsible for looking after your house. Like, I think it's a fantastic idea. I think that if this was legislated, that landlords must provide references for their property, that I think that'd be perfect. But yeah, no, didn't go down that way.
Take your rents on the 1st of the month and just make your life easy. It's a great idea to get a key safe and put a spare key outside the property so you don't get called out at all of the hours under the sun. Have an easy to understand maintenance policy. Leave it in the property so you don't get called out unnecessarily. Take your rents on standing order so they get paid on time. Make sure you use the correct contract. If they are an individual, if they've got exclusivity over a whole or part of the property, if the landlord is not present, and if it's their own main principal residence, then it should only be an AST contract. That's an assured short hold tenancy agreement. If you take a deposit, make sure that it's registered within one of the government approved deposit schemes.
God help me for any landlords that are using this advice without having their own actual advice outside of TikTok. Like, if this is your source, fucking hell.
Within 30 days. If you don't do this, the tenant could claim up to 3 times their deposit back, and it could prevent you from evicting the tenant under Section 21. Take your...
You can't evict me for not paying rent. Housing's a human right.
He doesn't know what I know. Watch this.
Hey! Hey! He doesn't know what I know. Watch this. Just because I stopped paying doesn't mean you can stop your services. That's a constructive eviction. I'm suing.
I knew I shouldn't have rushed into becoming a landlord without learning by following 2 guys take on real estate here and on YouTube.
You can't evict me for not...
So, you can't evict someone without actually serving them with an eviction notice. And you can't then also, yeah, so I think they're technically being right, but it's just funny. Like, when you see even like technically correct advice from landlords, like, look at the way they dehumanize tenants. Like, they make them into these most silly, like, dehumanized sort of puppets of like who they actually are. Like, literally, this is talking about evicting someone from a home. Like, oh, let's make it this funny little skit about how ridiculous it is for someone to get emotional over being kicked out of their home. Crazy.
If you want to keep the rent in your neighborhood cheap, whenever there's an apartment that's going up for lease, stand outside during the open times and just scream, because no one will want to move there. I was reading a story of this guy once in the US who would shoot a bullet directly into the air once a month so that the real estate agents couldn't jack the price. Him and his neighbors had like really cheap rent. You just have to be a nuisance. If you want to keep the rent in your neighborhood cheap, whenever there's an apartment...
When you're moving out of your rental and wants to hide the thumbtack holes from your landlord.
Oh, God.
When you're...
I have to say, I love the fact that I can, like, drill holes in the wall now. Holy shit. Like, you haven't lived until you've, like, secured a bookcase, like, with an anchor to the wall so it won't fall over and potentially kill one of your cats. Like, that is home ownership privilege. Fucking hell.
Look sharp, don't make me feel rich, get dark.
Okay, that sounds like that might be copyright, so we'll spin
Why
on.
are landlords still able to put up people's rents above inflation? I've got a colleague of mine and a very good friend whose rent has just gone up by 15%, right, above inflationary prices. I've got another friend whose rent has just gone up by over £300 a month that she doesn't.
But it's a free market.
No, it's not a free market if you are a captive renter and you've got no other option.
Inelastic.
So you can control prices, you can stop landlords from spiking people's rents, and then I think the second thing you have to do is
prices though.
So one of the things that you can do is in terms of where you are with, so The reason why lots of food prices are going up is, yes, there are disruptions to grain, but also the cost of commercial fuel is going through the roof because it's not subject to the same price cap as domestic energy. That's why I think it's really important for the government to step in and nationalise the big five. And the reason why I say that is because, yes, the government would be running those businesses at a loss while it keeps price caps in place, but then when they become profitable again, rather than that just going to foreign shareholders, it goes back to the treasury. Why are landlords still able to put up people's rents above?
It's funny how, like, when you have someone like this on these shows, every time there's an interjection by someone that disagrees with them, they can immediately answer and, like, basically disarm that objection. Like, oh, it's a free market. Well, it doesn't have to be a free market. There's a lot of things that we have that aren't free markets. In Australia, healthcare is not a free market, right? Like, it's possible. It's possible. 100% possible.
What's a scam that's become so normalized that we don't even realize it's a scam anymore?
Hello, I'd like to get a mortgage for $1,200 a month. Okay, it says here you have no savings. Yes, because I pay $1,600 a month in rent. We're sorry, you're going to have to save $100,000 to prove that you can pay the bank $1,200 a month in a mortgage. But I currently pay $1,600 a month in rent, and I've never missed a payment. I have a perfect rental history. Sorry, that's not how it works.
What's a scam that's become so...
I hate it. Hate it. Hate it. I would have paid off a house between now and when I started renting. But anyway. Wait, that's the end of... I'll log in. We'll pop out of that while we log in. Use QR code. I love when you can log into things using QR codes. Shut up. Where is... That work? Yes. Josh. Let's try Landlords Australia. Oh.
Been left stunned after their landlord installed cameras in the house.
Camera story.
No. That's me if I gave a fuck, but girl, no.
That's the guy we saw earlier. Well.
This is how the new Queensland land tax rule is going to cost property investors tens of thousands of dollars. 2023, people who own investment properties in Queensland will now have their land tax calculated on all properties owned, not just the properties owned in Queensland. Land tax
I think that got scrapped, unfortunately, which was what led to the discussion I started having on Reddit.
In Australia, then your lease must contain contact details for your landlord, and these must be kept up to date. That's so that you can contact your landlord directly if you have an issue that needs fixing and you can't get hold of your real estate agent.
Why have music in the background that might be copyright?
Hey there, so I've got another update for you. As I said yesterday, this politician, Michael Pedersen, has proposed a new law in the ACT in Australia to make it so landlords have to provide a reference to a tenant.
Yeah, that was a little old.
What would you do if you came home one day to find your landlord had filled your home with security cameras? No, it's not the start of a dystopian movie, but rather exactly what happened to this Brisbane share house. This is a wild story.
My name is Daniel Delini, and I live in a house with my friends. We came home one day to find these. Camera.
That is so crazy that someone like had that level of like self-righteousness, or like they thought that they had the right to like basically record these people in their private space. Like, fucking insane.
Camera. Now listen, I love attention, but this, too much.
Daniel and his friends live in a house by Hive student accommodation. They were given no notice and gave no permission for the cameras to be installed. When they asked Hive why the cameras were there, they said that the cameras were not activated and would only be used if anything was damaged. And if they didn't like it, well, they were more than welcome to break their lease. So how can this be allowed to happen? Hive Accommodation is arguing that because the leasing agreements are made for individual rooms, no one can claim the common areas. However, Daniel and his housemates say now they feel like they're constantly being watched, and it's breaking their legislative right to quiet enjoyment of their rental area. As of the time of this video, Hive did not respond to us for comment.
First, I spy with my little eye.
Hello, Mr. Landlord. My ceiling has caved in. Could you please fix that? Or... nah. Why not? Not classed as an urgent repair. I beg to differ. Why would that not be an urgent repair? Don't know. It doesn't say anywhere in the rental laws that a ceiling is required. But I don't have a ceiling. And it's gonna get wet inside. Put a tarp down. Not my problem. It literally is your problem. This is your house that you own, that I pay rent for. Fix it if you like. Yeah, thank you. Have to raise your rent though. Oh, forget it.
This is an update that I really don't want to make, but people need to know what it's like in Australia right now. I'm 3 weeks out from being homeless, not because we can't afford to pay rent, but because there's simply nothing available. I want to know,
It's crazy.
do real estate agents and landlords, do you guys have any heart? Do you have any soul whatsoever? Because right now, you are kicking people out of their homes. You're kicking people out of their hometowns, and you're making them homeless because all you want is more money. That's all it is. I'm going to be moving 2,000 kilometers away to couch surf with family in Brisbane because of your fucking heartlessness.
And that's the crazy part. Like, a lot of this stuff and a lot of the rental insecurity, part of it is like musical chairs where people had lease agreements terminated, or the rents were spiking in where they currently were so that people could get higher rents. And basically it was just moving everyone down. So you had people that were maybe on more modest budgets that had to downsize, but that filters down to the point where you have people that were just able to make it into the housing market for something that's suitable for them, that suddenly had nowhere left to go because, you know, they had fallen below the line where affordable housing was achievable for them. And it's just because landlords are evil and greedy, and as much as they try to make themselves feel better about telling themselves stories about how they're trying to meet the needs of the market, the fact is that when the market rate goes above you know, what many might consider to be reasonable for accommodation and leaves people homeless, then suddenly it's not their problem, and that's just the market deciding. Get a better job, right?
So I've been homeless for about a little bit over a month now. And one of the comments that I always get that just kind of make me either laugh or roll my eyes are when people tell me, if you're going to be homeless, don't have kids. Or you shouldn't have had kids if you were homeless. Or if you're homeless, don't have kids. I think that people fail to realize that my children are 2 and 6 months old, and I've been homeless for a month. I didn't miraculously conceive 2 children in under the span of 30 days. I don't think that's humanly possible. I genuinely wonder.
This is our
What can you say? Like, what can you say?
We didn't do this. This is the landlord. How can we do that kind of mold damage. We've tried cleaning it multiple times and it doesn't clean. This is our roof.
Why is the the desktop version of TikTok really isn't that good? It's meant to be a never-ending stream. Let's go back to this guy that was trying to give tips. Two guys take on real estate.
Dude, I've got the best idea. We're gonna be millionaires.
Is this like your Amway pyramid scheme?
No, it's real estate.
Sweet. I mean, what could go wrong? Why am I painting and working every day? I thought we were going to be millionaires.
Rome wasn't built in a day. Just a little bit longer. But get back to work. Can't find the key to apartment 49. They clogged the toilet again with a bath towel.
I can't help you right now. I'm running down to housing court for 10 non-payment cases. Hey, I saw some emergency calls come in through our management software. Is everything okay?
Yes, of course. I checked with the office. The team's handling everything.
Look, it's been 12 years of hard work, but I'm still driving a 22-year-old Jeep and you're rocking an 08 Prius.
Well, great news. We're millionaires. The appraisal just came in. $50 million.
And it's been a long road with a lot of close calls. How could we have avoided some of our mistakes?
I know. If only we could have followed someone like Two Guys Take on Real Estate. Dude, I've got the best idea.
I just got sued for housing discrimination twice in the same week, and it could happen to you. Oh, I've got to hear this. So I posted an ad to rent out my duplex, but I was worried about getting a nightmare tenant. Well, yeah, I mean, I've heard horror stories, but how are you discriminating? Well, in part of the ad, I wrote, I do not accept Section 8. And that's discrimination? You don't have the right to refuse? Apparently not. So I changed the wording and I relisted the apartment. And I got sued again! Oh my god, what now? Well, this time I wrote Section 8 is welcome. But now I'm a horrible discrimination monster. Seriously? Well, now what? Well, I'm not going to invest another $1 without following Two Guys Take on Real Estate.
I tripped and fell at your property.
This is weird.
I'm suing.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that you fell. I'll put my insurance company on notice. You know, we could just work together to resolve this.
No, by the time I'm done with you, I'll own this property, your fancy house, and I'll be driving your shiny BMW.
Look, scammy people like you, don't frighten me. You want to go that route? Bring it on. I'm protected.
Wait, protected?
Yeah.
These are just ads.
I'm insured.
God damn it.
My property's in an LLC. You know, I knew how to do all this stuff because I followed Two Guys.
What are some good questions to ask your next potential landlord? Well, if you're looking for an apartment, some of the important things you need to know is when will the apartment be available for me to move in? How much is the apartment going to be? And if there are any specific policies that come up in rentals that are deal breakers for you. This could be if the landlord does or did not allow or provide laundry on site. Maybe that's a deal breaker for you because you just absolutely cannot, for whatever reason, use a laundromat. It's a deal breaker. You got to have laundry in the home. So when it comes to agreements, specifically rental agreements, your move-in documentation or your lease agreement, good landlords and bad landlords are going to have a couple of different ways of approaching this. Good landlords are going to have all of this stuff in writing. Now, it's okay and it's great to have
very bland content on that. We might leave it there. I need to maybe spend a bit more time with desktop version of TikTok. I wish there was a way to add things to playlists while I'm sort of scrolling. Like the only thing I've sort of found is like favoriting or liking, and I don't particularly want to clog up my phone, and I might not always be favoriting stuff that's relevant. So yeah, that's probably where we're gonna leave it. Like obviously. I don't like rentals. I don't like the idea of renting out properties. It's just exploitation, right? Like the fact that there's a system set up where someone that has the ability to take out loans can then turn around and set that loan to be paid by someone else without that person getting any equity is just kind of ludicrous to me. And I'm not sure what you can do to fix it, apart from making it an opt-in system, as in like there are alternatives. Like, obviously you can't stop rentals from happening. You can't stop people from buying houses and then attempting to rent them out on a temporary basis. But the fact that people are stuck with that as the only option, and then like you do get like there were rentals programs that were for people that were on low incomes and like rent assistance and things like that. And I found that like they serve such a niche part of the vulnerable community. Like they focus so much on people that are, you know, definitely deserving, but like it's sort of the people that are the worst off, and that do need it, but like there's no support for people that get caught in the middle. People that are underemployed, minimum wage, people that find themselves in a time where the cost of living spikes, whether that's rent or food or whatever. And it's just kind of crazy. And like we see how bad it is when something happens like COVID, and like, you know, people will brush it off and be like, well, the pandemic's over and it's, you know, it was an extraordinary time and yes, it was tough, but people will get through it and, you know, things will get better. But man, these once in a lifetime events are starting to pile up and pile up and pile up, because it turns out that while a bushfire might be a once in a lifetime, a flood might be once in a lifetime, a pandemic might be a once in a lifetime, a depression might be once in a lifetime, like a financial market crash might be once in a lifetime. Man, there's enough events that are once in a lifetime that it becomes less and less relevant that it's a once in a lifetime event when it's just a cavalcade of once in a lifetime events. So maybe if we looked after the basics like food, shelter, that sort of stuff, healthcare, a little bit better, then maybe we'll be a bit more resilient to these. But until then, we're fucked. So I might go and play some more Genshin Impact. I might end the stream, and we'll try and do this a bit more often. So I will try and maybe do this format where I've, you know, start playing a few games and see if anyone drops in and see if I've got some videos up to do, and we'll go from there. So peace out. I think the light looks good, right? Yeah. Look, it's going green.